Now who got them who rockin' on? Now who want them who flossing on? Now who want them who bought them? If you got stripes, then you let the city know you rock them. Yeah, we got them, yeah, we bought them. Like that black and orange up on them. Bingo bottle, never stop it. So the feastin' on them. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes? Flossin' on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen. We gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our...
Welcome to another episode of Bengals and Brews. I am Del Altman, joined by my co-host, Strawberry Ice. Got a couple special fellas in here, the Mayor Port Chopolis, Port Chop, and Kentley Platt, Math Bomb, the Raz creator himself.
Nice. And no hat. You don't have the bowler hat on.
I was trying to grab it, and I don't have it in my office for some reason. So I must have went out, and maybe I left it in my car.
So full apologies for you not coming on our show this weekend up until now. Is my fault. I thought I sent you the link. I swear to God, I sent it, and I don't know what the hell happened. I didn't realize it until today. Like, I need a link. I'm like, oh, crap, I didn't do it. So my apologies to you. I'm sorry. I would love to have you on.
I will hold the grudge forever.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're on now, though, dude. I mean, so what's your thoughts on the draft here of how it went for us? Knowing the Bengals, I know you're a Lions fan, but where are you at on the draft in general?
Yeah, it was a wild draft. I mean, it's hard enough to try to keep up with everything that was going on.
Yeah, try to do a show for 7 hours.
Right? So on top of that, we had a couple of teams break with their normal tendencies and a couple that just hilariously refused to. The Indianapolis Colts took like every top tier athlete that they could. But it was also interesting to see teams like Cincinnati, who can be a little up and down at times with the metric like mine. I've talked before about how, like, for offensive linemen, the Bengals haven't really focused too much on those elite tier athletes. They've kind of been, a little bit more accepting of guys who didn't test as well. But in general, the Bengals drafted elite tier athletes. They took, I believe, the second highest RAS for defensive end with their first pick in Miles Murphy. It's incredible that he lasted as long as he did in the first round. DJ Turner was the fastest player at the combine. Of course, he had a really high score. Jordan Battle, we had a couple of safeties in this class that had a lot of really good tape but didn't test well. I'm not sure why all of them did that this year, it seemed like. But Battle was among those guys that was a higher ranked safety and just didn't test all that well. But then they took Charlie Jones, very well-respected slot guy with a really high athletic score. Gets compared to Cooper Kupp a lot, but he's a significantly more athletic version of Cooper Kupp as a prospect. Kupp probably had better tape coming out, but Jones has got that better upside. They took one of the Brown brothers, another elite tier athlete. Andre Josephus, elite tier athlete, a track star, very developmental prospect, but 6th round. Take those shots, right? And then DJ Ivey, who didn't get into the elite range, but he was very close. He was a 7.87, so just below that 8.0 range. And then, unfortunately, I don't have a score for Brad Robbins. You're gonna have to accept that those guys just don't always test.
But hang time wise, he had the best hang time in college football coming out of Michigan. Right there with Turk was below him. The second punter taken after Behringer. I thought that was a great pick, too, as a punter for them. And the undrafted free agent, Jackson Kirkland, who I know has had tons of injuries throughout his career at Washington. But dude has played tackle, can play guard, big-bodied guy. I think that's a very good – since they didn't add any O-linemen, that's a good body to bring in and, see how he does and see if he can stick.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm trying to catch up with all the undrafted guys now.
One I seen for the Ravens is a guy we were kind of hoping to get. It was Keaton Mitchell, which what was his RAS score out of ECU? Our favorite pirate.
Arg.
Keith Mitchell.
Keaton
Mitchell. Oh, he had a good one. I don't think it was in the elite range, but it was still above average. He had a 6.17. He said he went to the Ravens. That's a good pickup for them, though. I know he's got a lot of fans because of that speed. I mean, he ran a 4.37, so he's a really, really fast and explosive dude. His score got kind of brought down because he's a smaller player, and he did the bench, which is never good for smaller players. They usually don't do too well in the bench. And then his agility drills weren't that good, but very, very fast guy.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping we wanted a little explosive guy. With you being a Lions fan, we were all aboard the Gibbs train, hoping maybe he'd be there at 28. I did not see him going at 12, but
Nobody did.
he is explosive and an excellent pass catcher. Just as a Lions fan, even you can mention his Raz, but as a Lions fan, what's your feelings on Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah, he had an 8.07. He's another guy that's very, very fast. A lot of smaller running backs and wide receivers, too, don't usually have higher explosive drills, even if they're explosive on tape, because that lower body explosiveness for wide receivers and running backs is usually for that burst off the line. So faster guys don't necessarily need to have that. It's all about getting up to that top speed fast, not necessarily a power thing. It's just about speed. And that's what Gibbs' thing is. It's just about speed. He's got tons and tons of speed. He gets up to that top gear very fast. He's also got enough moves when he's in space to make some of that exciting. Anytime you have a guy who can make one cut and blast through a hole and get 5-6 yards immediately, that's important. And the Lions have a pretty good offensive line. So putting him behind that line opens up some interesting opportunities for Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator.
Now, I'll be honest, we've done this show, but trying to keep up with every team, all their draft picks has been impossible for us to do. Been trying to keep up with who's still on the board.
And there's times like I have no idea who's left.
Is there any other, maybe just your favorite pick or two for the Lions beyond him?
Yeah, so they got Jack Campbell in the first round also, and a lot of people don't like getting a Mike linebacker that early in the draft because it's a devalued position and all that.
But Brian you talk Branch, about RAS scores.
9.98, man, right up there with Luke Kuechly and Leighton Vander Esch, some of the highest guys up there. Brian Branch fell to them. He didn't test all that well. He's a hybrid nickel and corner and safety, so I don't really care. Sometimes the tape is good enough. I don't think his tape warranted the first round hype that he was getting, but where the Lions got him, I don't really care that he didn't test all that well because that's where the value is. Really good pick for them there. They picked up Antoine Green with their last pick. The receiver has a lot of really good athletic traits, very raw, not quite as raw as Andre Josephus, but also doesn't have quite the traits that Josephus has. But a guy that you can kind of hope will develop and become good.
What do you got, Jeff?
Vikings have signed my boy Ivan Pace.
Ivan Pace to the Vikings. Yeah.
Pace didn't get drafted, really.
That shocked me. I had a late third to early fourth round grade on him. He had a great Senior Bowl week.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Do you have his RAS? Just since we mentioned him, I don't want to put you on the spot when doing these, so I won't do it if you don't.
That's all I'm doing right now is pulling guys up and posting them. Ivan Pace with a 5.71. He's another guy that, for his position, had really good speed. We had a lot of undersized linebackers this year. It's actually the smallest linebacker class ever in all 30 whatever years we're on now. 37 years. I don't remember how many years we're on. However long this has been going on, since 1987. This is the smallest linebacker class throughout that entire period. So it's a lot of smaller guys dragged some of their scores down a bit.
Pork chop, what do you got?
Well, I put that Ivan Pace thing on the chat, man, but goddamn, what the fuck are the Bengals doing? The guys that we wanted, they haven't signed yet. They went somewhere else. Keith Mitchell to the fucking Ravens, Ivan Pace to the Vikings.
The thing is, the Bengals don't have the roster spots that some of these guys will have for undrafted guys, and they want to at least feel like they have a shot.
Yeah. Well, that might be in the decision when they call them, like, hey, you want to play for the Bengals? And they're like, well, am I going to make the team?
Well, yeah, their agent looks at their depth chart and goes, "Here's 4 or 5 linebackers that you're probably not making it over."
Yeah, we're pretty much set at linebacker. I mean,
for this year, but long term, no. There's a bunch of guys on 1-year contracts.
Yeah,
with,
they got to sign them or
Marcus Bailey, Joe Bocci, but those are guys that aren't going anywhere because they're special teams staples, and that's outside of our starters.
I was just hoping Ivan Pace could find a spot on the fucking special teams, man. That guy's high motor.
We're not going to get rid of the guys, though, that have been on our special teams for 3 or 4 years.
I mean, our special teams are pretty good.
So, Clint, I'm going to Kent. I'm going to be play Derek here. So, what are you drinking? Sure. Are you drinking anything? You got anything you're drinking? I got a Ryan guys here.
Rum and iced tea. I'm a big iced tea drinker.
That's
I
interesting.
like putting darker alcohols in iced tea because it gives you that. I like it cold too, lots of ice. But I don't know why I like tea with my alcohol, but that's what I drink.
Hey,
we
it's
got
all good.
we got another Bengal in. I can't tell you guys anything about him. So if anybody has anything on Larry Brooks, safety to the Bengals as an undrafted free agent.
Godfather, you got anything
already?
How you guys doing?
What's up,
Good,
AC?
AC. What's up, brother?
Long time no see.
Right.
I missed you.
Yeah, I know.
Long night last night.
Yeah, it was. But good to be standing or sitting next to the legend next to me. He was my go-to guy for a lot of draft stuff.
Everyone's go-to guy.
Absolutely.
Oh my god, man.
That's
yeah, dude. I retweet and use your metrics for sure. But
hey,
good haul for the Bengals,
it,
I think, overall. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Larry Brooks was a safety from Tulane. He had a 6.99 RAS. Good splits, 40-yard dash fell off. We had a lot of that this year. We had like really weird splits this year. But even though he's only got a 6.99, it's actually pretty good individual metrics. So
that's a higher score than the safety we drafted.
Is it? I forgot who you guys drafted.
I think Battle was like a 5-point
Battle.
Oh, that's right, Battle. Yeah. I haven't went and looked, but I know this guy doesn't hit as hard as Battle does.
Which I'm still surprised we drafted the safety. I'll keep saying that. I'm still surprised. I'm not upset with the pick, but I did not think we'd draft a safety. That was just me.
Sometimes teams go out of their way to pick things you don't expect them to. My team just took a running back at 12.
Yeah. Well, I think the Bengals tried to go BPA throughout this draft. Whatever they had, whoever the best player on the board was, that's where I think they drafted.
Well, I don't know if you guys seen, but like when Zach Taylor was making the phone call to Jordan Battle, Lou Anarumo was sitting behind him with the biggest grin on his face.
Yeah.
And he said it'd be a dark day if they lost Bates and Bell both.
Yep.
And guess what? He was able to get Jordan Battle, whose character and football ability and football IQ is comparable to Von Bell.
Lou Dini's got some toys. He's got some toys. We are going to put lots of pressure on the other team's quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, I'm talking to you, brother.
Yeah.
We coming, bro. We coming.
Speaking of, everyone's seen that from Phil Amrine, the Bengals fan of the year, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Pretended to flip.
OG gangster move. That's a Phil mic drop moment. Was awesome. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Fuck it off.
I just thought it was fantastic.
Dude, he dropped the mic on them. They were booing his ass. He's like, you know what? The AFC Championship game is coming to the river. Let's go, baby.
I would venture to guess that the Bengals actually used a lot of Kent's write-ups and research because it feels like what they have 8 picks, right? It feels like about 6 of them were huge RAS guys, and then 2 of them were kind of pure tape guys, right? That didn't really score as high. So, Ken, I think the Bengals are paying pretty close attention to you, man.
Last year, too.
I always bring it up, but like I know individual scouts who use my metric because I talk to them. So I know there are NFL scouts that use it like for individual teams, but the teams themselves have their own metrics, and they all have their own internal thing that they use. They have entire analytics departments dedicated to doing this stuff. They get the same data that I get, but they get it like immediately, way earlier than I get it, with a lot less hassle and networking. But the thing about RAS is it's a very helpful analog for what a lot of teams do. When you see a team that drafts a lot of high RAS guys, it's not so much that they're using RAS, but whatever they are is similar enough that you can use RAS as an example of what.
Let's be honest, they're using RAS.
Yeah, they're using the shit out of RAS.
They're using your shit. It's right there.
Yeah. You're just being humble, dude. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you've always gone on record and you said it's a tool, because it kills me when people are like, that drives me. Oh, I get so angry at these people because we've used your tool for years. You know, me being a lover of the draft. It's an incredible tool, but you say that yourself. It's one of many. There's other things, obviously, game tape, medicals that most of us don't know about unless, you know, we're not GMs. We're not the guys that are giving these guys their physicals, although Pork Chop might want to.
I'll hook them up, man. Hey, I'll probably get free tickets to the game. Kent, you don't know, but I'm a nurse.
Around Pork Chop.
I'm a nurse, so if I can go down there and cup some fucking testicles and get in with the team, I'm your fucking side source. Hey, cough, motherfucker. Let's see what's up. What's the
But-
RAS score?
Welcome to
What's the
Bengals
RAS
and
score on the
Brews.
ball weight?
Welcome to Bengals and Brews.
But it is an incredible tool, and it classifies everything into one, and the way you're able to compare everybody from the past, and that I'm so thankful that you do that.
Yeah, it's a lot to put together, and I've only ever reached out one time. So I got very ill last year. I actually lost part of my kidney, and it took me a really long time. Took me a really long time to recover from that. And I brought in an intern. His name was Eric. He was fantastic. But that's where we got the RAS Compare tool, the on-page calculator that we have now for all the different players. These are things that I've been sitting on for a long time that I was eventually going to get to, but bringing in somebody else, I was able to do all of those things because it wasn't just me in my spare time trying to put that stuff together. I had somebody there who was like motivated and had the time and was ready to do it. This offseason, I'm hiring 10. So hopefully we'll be able to do some more stuff. We've got some big plans to add some metrics that we don't currently have, to add some more success metrics, to try to integrate the data with other websites and the data that they use. It's a lot of big things that I have planned, and I'll have some people on board who are going to be able to help do that stuff. So hopefully next year is going to be even more crazy with even more cool ways to look at the data.
Have you thought about putting out any kind of guide, with a lot of these into maybe one thing? Like, I know Dane Brugler has the Beast, but, something like that where, you can maybe make a little money off of it, because I would gladly pay to have that information to be able to print it
the
out.
hell out of that for sure.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, and I've had it for several years. It exists right now out there. The stuff that I would put in it on every single player page. There's a write-up that you can select that will pull up a write-up for every individual player and all of their individual testing metrics broken down by where that ranks all time among for each individual test. So not just the overall score, which you guys see every time I post a RAS card, but in each of the individual metrics, you can see where their speed ranks all time at their position. The data exists to do not just all time, but up until their draft year, just within their draft year. So it'll be able to say this guy ranks, 40th out of 1,900 players for the 40-yard dash all time, but first in his draft class and 40 or 37th or whatever up until his draft year. All of that information exists. It's already tracked on the site, and you can read it. I had planned on putting all of that together with the RAS cards, putting it into something like that and putting it out, but I've never had the time.
Yeah,
Is that all free on the website? I mean,
it all exists individually. It's all individually. That's
you just give the shit away.
Yeah, well, that's why I said it the way I said it. Like, if he wanted to combine everything into the, it would be a big ass document, I'm sure. But because I do it every year. I have at least 6, 7 of these now. The freaking beast that I get it printed off, and so I think it was just something I wanted to ask you. We got a couple others in the chat here for undrafted free agent signings. Matt Landers, I know he ran like a freak 4.3, good size. I'm sure his RAS score is pretty high, but he went to the Seahawks.
9.85. That's a big RAS score right there.
Now we have Brian Bosarge, who does the those guys took over the
love that
countdown. We had him on, and he talked about where he's from, Alabama and down south, and he went to school Arkansas. He had heard maybe there's some character concerns with him. I mean, I don't know, but size wise, athletic wise, he's a freak.
And then here.
Yeah, he went to the Seahawks. So Landers to the Seahawks, and then Hickman from Ohio State, who should have came back for another year, only 21 years old, went to the Browns.
Yeah, Brian. I met Brian down at the Senior Bowl. Was it last year, the year before? I think last year. I had went down there, and I was going to the HBCU Combine, and it was at the South Alabama practice facility, which was outdoors, and I could see it. I could see what they were doing, but I had no idea how to get to where the entrance and stuff was. So he was directing me, some moron tourist walking around like an idiot, and he was able to direct me where I was supposed to go. And get me to a spot where I wasn't freezing. It was really cold down there that year.
So we got another Bengals one, which I can't tell you that I've heard of this guy. He's from Miami, Ohio, apparently. Hippenhammer. That's a hell of a name.
Yes, that's great. He didn't test all that well, but I was hoping he got picked up just because I love his name.
Yeah. Hippenhammer.
Matt Hippenhammer. Yeah, he has a 2.94 RAS. Not a very good RAS. He's a smaller guy. Doesn't have that many that good of explosiveness. Just like I was saying before about a lot of smaller speedsters don't really have good explosion drills because that's not really how they get up to speed, right? It's different. He's that kind of guy, but he doesn't quite have that top end speed that some of those other guys do. Probably a good return option, good special teamer.
Okay. Yeah, I'd never heard that name, so I was like, okay. Did you have anything on Hickman he signed with the Browns, the Ohio State safety?
I don't think Hickman tested. I may be wrong on that.
He might have had an injury.
Yeah, he had an injury. He didn't test. That's Browns.
Fuck.
But
Browns.
that Hippenhammer has to be on the all-name team for this draft.
Yes.
There's a guy named Your Majesty Sanders in this class.
Oh shit! Your Majesty.
Tell us about this guy.
Yeah,
you got a RAS for him?
I don't think he tested, but I had to put him in my database.
Yeah, you just
the name alone.
Name in there. Yeah, I love it.
I love guys with great names. If you have guys with great names, I try to make it a point to get them in. We've got some really good ones coming out next year. We have a guy named Kool-Aid.
Chemistry from Bama.
Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yep.
Storm Duck is finally coming out next year, so we get Storm Duck.
Yep.
Wait, his last name is Duck?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Fucking parents, man.
We talked about how pissed is Storm Duck that he comes out the same year as Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yes.
That's got to be a Keenan thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Storm Duck.
What was that? Hey, Jeff, what was that local guy?
McKinstry.
Right.
Local running back that went to Coleraine High School. His first name was like Sir something or another, wasn't it?
Servassier.
No, there was a running back that went to local high school.
He was Sir. Yeah, I know you're talking about Portugal. It's Sir, but I can't remember.
But that was the guy in this draft from Pitt, Servassier.
No, this guy was going to go to college, and he got fucking busted like robbing somebody or something.
Yeah, but his first name or first part of his name was Sir.
I'm going to look it up, see if I can find it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, man, I love the all-name team. But AC, what did you have for the Bengals? Like, have you done an overall grade, or just what have you thought of maybe the picks today?
Before you do that, AC, are you and Porkchop got the same hat on?
No, not
I've
yet.
got
don't work that quick,
I've
Jeff.
got the dude from The Hangover.
I like that.
Character.
See, I love AC's
he's
hat
holding
game.
little Carlos.
Yeah, I do.
Carlos.
I love AC's hat game, so I always got to ask. Sorry, go ahead.
Jeff, Mr. Simpson.
Yes, that was it, Mr. Simpson. That was his
Mr.
name.
Simpson. But he got fucking arrested before he could go to college.
Right. All right, AC, go ahead.
Well, actually, I have a total, I don't know, kind of weird question for Kent, but one of my favorite players in the draft was Dalton Kincaid, and I know he didn't test. I just out of curiosity, from what you know of him, do you think he would have had, just ballpark, do you think he would have had a pretty good RAS score from what you kind of saw from him, or do you think he didn't test not only because of the injury, but because maybe that wouldn't have come back as strong as a lot of people thought?
I heard a lot of people questioning about what he would have tested. I think he would have tested plenty well. I think he would have been in the higher 8s, maybe the low 9s. His size would have brought him down a little bit. And I don't think he would have benched all that well, but he moves pretty well. I was surprised when I had heard people saying they didn't think he would run any better than a 4.7. They didn't think that he was gonna do. I think they said he was gonna have a lower vert, like a 32 or something. And it was kind of surprising to me because he doesn't move like that. He's a pretty good mover, and he's pretty quick off the line, and he's pretty agile in space. So I'm fairly confident from what I've seen of him play that he would have tested fairly well. But you don't get brownie points for that. I don't get to put up scores that I think they would have got.
Right. And he went a pick or 2 picks before the Bengals, I think, picked in the first round. And I'm curious if they they met with him, I think, and showed a lot of interest there. I wonder if he was available, if that maybe would have been the route they went. I don't know. But he was just, I live on the West Coast. I watch a lot of Pac-12 football. So that was one of my guys in this year's class. I really like him. He's a gamer, and I was bummed to hear that he got hurt, obviously, but I think that was obviously the biggest question with him, right? Is just how would he have tested? Obviously the injury, is he recovered from that? So
I think it's kind of similar to how Charlie Kohler was last year, where there were people questioning his testing, and then he came out and just blew everything out of the water. I think it would have been similar to that. I think the reaction for those people who didn't think he was going to test well would have been quite positive when he actually did test.
Do you have some favorites in this class, like guys that you kind of watched and whether they scored well or maybe they scored poorly and you're like, I still think that this guy's a really good football player despite scoring really poorly, or what?
I have so many favorites in this class. This is one of my favorite classes to watch. I love tight ends. I love watching tight ends, and this class had so many good ones. Yeah. Brenton Strange was one of my guys, and I talked him up every chance I got about being a player that I think teams would like a lot better than the draft community was liking them. And I run the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator, so I have to deal with our rankings. And there's guys in there that I'm like, God, we have this guy ranked really low, and I can only do so much convincing to try to move those guys out. But it was real satisfying to see guys like him, test really well. The big thing for me this year was guys that I felt like I was taking crazy pills with, where I knew they were going to test well and everybody else said they weren't. And I was almost right on all of them. Not all, but most of them I was. The big one being Jackson Smith and Jigba, who for some reason everybody thought was a bad athlete, not even remotely. Does he have that elite top end speed? No, but he's plenty fast enough, and he's so good at everything else, it didn't matter. Zach Charbonnet was another guy that a lot of people were telling me was going to test poorly, and I was like, where are you seeing this? Zach Evans from Mississippi, same thing. I don't know where the idea that he was going to test poorly. Jack Campbell, who the Lions ended up taking, I didn't think he was going to test that well, but I knew that he was going to test a lot better than people were expecting. I wasn't correct about Siaki Ika, who I thought would test quite a bit better, who tested fairly poor. He's a nose tackle, so the fact that he did only really should upset me. Like, everybody else should be fine.
Yeah.
Everybody else should be totally okay. They aren't. There are very mad Cleveland fans who think I'm dogging him because I posted something. He didn't test very well, which is fine for a nose tackle. For me, the one person who thought he was going to test really well, I was a little disappointed, but he tested perfectly fine for his position. Isaiah Land from Florida A&M was another really good one that I was excited to see get picked up. Unfortunately, he didn't get drafted.
That's what I was going to say. I hadn't seen where he ended up.
I haven't seen that yet. I've been trying to find. It looks like maybe Dallas. Yep, Dallas.
Oh,
that's a good signing for them. Really like him as a player.
But yeah, everybody in the chat, if there's any guys, this will only help Kent out because he's on here with us while he's doing some other stuff. So if you see anybody to any teams, here's one for the Bengals.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
okay, I had a draftable grade on him.
Shaka.
Yeah.
Shaka Tony. Shaka Hayward, rather. Shaka Tony's already been drafted. He was drafted last year.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Shakas out there. There's like a million Jalens and the four or five different spellings of that. Hayward had a 7.94, really good speed score. Linebacker that ran a 4.53. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So it's a good pickup.
Yeah, it is. So there's a depth guy. And that's what I said, some of these guys, and that's why when people are like, Ivan Pace got a bigger name too. You almost want to get some guys that, hey, I can practice squad you for a year.
Yep.
Because we got a lot of 1-year deal linebackers.
It's not a bad thing to land on a practice squad. I don't think people realize how high the failure rate for NFL prospects is.
Oh yeah.
Like, there are 259 draft picks in this draft class, and there's probably another 120, 130 undrafted guys who will make a regular season roster, and then another 100 to 150 who will land on a practice squad. And so it's 500-600 maybe. There's over 2,000 players in a single draft class, and that's just the guys that we're able to track, that we're able to get information on. That's not counting all of the really small school guys. That's not counting the fringe guys on some of the bigger schools who don't get a whole lot of press. There's a lot of players in an individual draft class, and most players never see an NFL field. So when you get a guy that's like, oh yeah, we can put him on the practice squad for a while, fine, perfect, that's great. That's probably the best that he's going to see, not in a negative connotation, but if you get a guy in a practice squad, that's a win. That's a success for that guy. You know, that's good for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys already ask Ken about, because I came on late, did you ask him about his kind of background and how and why? I mean, are you a math guy by trade? Like, are you math major, or I mean, like,
he's been on with Jeff multiple times, so
okay.
But we haven't asked him on here. And for anybody watching Bengals and Brews that maybe haven't tuned in to Iceman's show, that's a great question we had not asked.
Yeah, so I actually joined the Navy right out of high school. I was a cryptologist, which is a really cool sounding job.
That does sound cool. And also thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you for your service, for sure. Yeah.
Right. I always tell people, like, it sounds way more interesting than it was. And like, I can't talk about the stuff that I did, which also sounds cool, but it is not. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I wish I could talk about it just so I could explain how inane most of my day-to-days were. But a lot of stuff that I did was it was all pattern recognition stuff. So I had to do a lot of stuff with pattern recognition. And when you're working with pattern recognition, it's very easy to get into coding because pattern recognition is repetitive, and coding allows you to do repetitive things without doing any work. And I hate work. One of my favorite things to say that got burned into me by my dad that I will say a million times over is less work is best work. If you can do the same thing as someone else in less time with less effort, you have succeeded. And that's what I always try to do, is try to code, try to make things easier. After the Navy, I bounced around for a little while. I actually work as a document developer nowadays, which sounds as boring as it is.
Yeah, that didn't sound near as cool as the other.
Yeah.
Cryptologist.
It helps me do a lot of real estate management with things like design, which is how I get the graphic cards that I have and things like that, and how I was able to cram a lot of information into a small space. It helped with some of that stuff and understanding how modular development works, which is where you have interchangeable pieces. So the RAS cards, I can put together a RAS card for a school that I don't have in less than 5 minutes. If I have some school that I don't happen to have an overlay for, I can find the team logo, find the team's colors, make a card, and get it up on the website within 5 minutes. It takes less than 5.
Did I miss this, or is it we were talking about this? Kirkland?
Yeah, that was the first one we talked about.
All right, sorry. All right, my bad.
Which AC might know a little about him, being a West Coast guy.
It was I missed the name. I'm sorry about that.
Jackson Kirkland from Washington. He's had a lot of injuries, but O tackle and a guard. He's projected to be a guard in NFL.
Oh yeah. Good player. I want to watch a little bit more about him, but yeah, he's kind of he's bounced around spots, right? Hasn't he done a little bit of everything on the line? Maybe interior. Yeah. Good play. Washington, they've been kind of a sneaky competitive team. I mean, USC had the great year, not a great ending to it last year, but Utah's been pretty competitive. So, I mean, they get UCLA's had some fun players, but Washington, the last couple of drafts, especially last year with the corners and, they've pumped out a couple of really good players the last couple of drafts, and they've been kind of a pretty competitive team. So that's a good one. I like that one. So
I got a question from Brad. AC, not Bengal related. Will the Pac-12 survive?
No, I don't think it will. No.
Are they going to become part of the Big 12?
I think it's USC and I think UCLA, right? And
they're going to Big 10.
Yeah, they are. So
the rest, there's rumors the rest of them are might merge or a lot of merge with the Big 12, and
right.
I haven't heard anything in a while, but that'll be a hell of a conference. But it'll be a lot of travel.
I don't understand it really.
No.
I mean I understand it, I guess, from a money / maybe more. I don't know.
Money point, that's it. But
matchup perspective. But I mean, yeah,
there would be no rivalries there. No,
I'm a big traditionalist in a lot of respects with stuff, and so there's a lot of history in the Pac. Used to be Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12. There's a lot of history there, so I'm not really happy about that.
No,
so
don't worry.
I don't think it's going to survive well.
Oh, don't worry. We got a new one. Me and you, buddy. An Ohio State fan here. So
It looks like my Lions picked up Brandon Joseph out of Notre Dame.
You're a Lions guy?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm a
he's
Lions
in
guy.
Detroit, yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, Kent, Kevin loves your mustache.
It's
by the
epic.
way.
It's epic.
Well,
Yeah.
I always got if you
It's,
have about Kent's mustache, which is one of the greatest mustaches I've ever seen in my life. I got to put that up there. So
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
missing
a
the
little
bowler hat.
scraggly.
I
It's a
missed the
little
bowler
scraggly
hat.
today.
This is
I'm gonna text my wife and make her find my hat.
Yeah, it's the first time. Yeah, no, legitimately, this is the first time I've seen him without the hat. I love the bowler hat and the mustache. It all
Raleigh Fingers-esque, his mustache, right?
Yes,
Remember
yes.
old Raleigh Fingers? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that.
Exactly. So what we got next here?
Mission.
We got
Mission time.
anything else with the Bengals? Or I mean, how fast does the undrafted free agents happen? I mean, it's pretty quick. I mean,
the first one was announced the moment the draft ended.
right.
And it goes on until about 3 a.m. before it starts to really completely die.
AC, we're not staying on that long.
Yeah, I don't expect most people to. I tend to stay on until I stop drinking. That's my general goal, is to just go until I'm tired.
Dale, when does that part happen where we stop drinking? I don't.
When you sleep.
Have we hit that
When you
point?
sleep.
When you sleep, that's when it stops,
I
right?
don't know. I mean,
When you fall
Hard
down
to-
ass up into the fucking couch.
that was me Friday morning, by the way, because I was up till 6:30 after night one of the draft, and my wife said I come in.
why were you up till 6:30?
Was we were on stream till 3, and after that you wanted to FaceTime for 3 more hours like an idiot. So
I can't help it. You like talking to me. It's not my
I
fault.
kept doing Jaeger bombs, and I
Did I make you do that?
I was on my knees in the floor, but my face was in the couch. So I'm like face down, ass up, as the saying goes.
Just the
My
way
wife
he likes
goes
it.
to let the dog out. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, well, apparently I'm pretty fucking drunk. I'm tired.
I'm pretty fucking drunk, tired.
We got.
I
I don't know who this is, but we got Mitchell Tinsley.
Yep.
Tinsley?
To the team that doesn't exist anymore.
To the commies, not Fiji corrected.
Commanders.
He corrected the Commanders.
All right.
Mitchell Tinsley from Penn State, wide receiver, tested all right. Good agility drills, but ran a 4.6 for a 6-foot receiver. That's not super great.
Did you have a favorite pick? I mean, I don't know if you know the Bengals class off the top of your head, Kent. Did you have a favorite where you're like, I think this guy, whether it's a sleeper or whether it's just, their first round pick? I mean, was there a guy where you're like, man,
I'm going to cheat and do the first round pick offhand without having to look at the class again because my brain ain't there at the moment. I mean,
Right.
Miles Murphy, where you guys got him, is just a ridiculous steal. I mean, that's not even fair.
wow.
I will say that as silly as it is, Brad Robbins is a really good pick. He's a very good player. So getting him as a pick is pretty good.
You like that fucking stash he's got.
He does have a good one.
I don't know if he has it lately.
Well, hopefully he's back to the stash.
Oh,
I normally would never say a guy shouldn't have a beard, but that guy, the picture with the stash, baller.
Everyone should always have a mustache. It's the best way to go.
We can't all pull it off like that.
You'd be surprised. My brother-in-law, it takes him months to grow any facial hair. But when he gets his little mustache going, and he has the whole thing, but if he were to shave that off and just have the mustache, that would look nice. It would take him forever to grow because he's just one of those guys that can't grow one. But you can pull it off, I think. Now, if you end up with one of those really creepy pencil mustaches, no, you can't. Some people can't. You're right. Some people can't. I would say if I'm not cheating and saying Miles Murphy, I'll say that Andre Josephus is probably my favorite pick for the Bengals because I like developmental guys. I like guys with all the tools. You're not going to get a whole lot of them out of the gate, but you have a really good quarterback and a really good offensive-minded coach. You have an idea of how to deploy players in different ways and use their abilities. You get a guy that has all of those tools, and you start developing them. As long as that player wants to develop and wants to get better, and the coaches are dedicated to it, and the quarterback, is also part of that plan, you can end up with a really, really good player. And I think they spent a sixth on him.
Yeah, and he is an All-American track athlete. Ran the heptathlon.
Yep.
So the one where you do all kinds of shit. And 60-yard dash, he set like a record for that. So not having to cross-train as well with that could help him overall, I think. He can focus on football and football shape because he does need to add like functional strength and things like that.
Yeah, the body catching. That's it's weird. It kind of reminds me a little bit. He's taller than him, but that was kind of a thing if you remember with Marvin Jones, and I think he was a 5th round pick or 6th round pick by the Bengals.
He was fifth.
There was a lot of body catching, but the speed was there, and the talent was there, and it feels like this guy kind of it's the same thing. Speed. He's taller than Marvin Jones was, but and maybe Ken will put me in my place and say that Marvin Jones had a better or worse RAS than Andre did, but it just from a Bengals perspective, a little bit where he was picked and whatever, it kind of reminds me of that because I remember Marvin Jones, and he still did it in the pros, a lot of body catches, right? And it was a lot of let the ball get into him a little bit for better or for worse.
Now I seen Jalen Redmond up there, went to the Panthers. That might have happened earlier. Did you have that one, Kent?
No, I did not. I will grab that.
The Oklahoma D tackle, which I had a draftable grade on him. I think he's another guy who's went with some injuries. But I was hoping we'd bring him in, but that's good for the Panthers.
So we got a $1.99 super chat here that goes straight to Derek. We don't get any of the money, but did Tucker Kraft kill somebody or something? Why did Tucker Kraft basically drop?
He went in the 3rd round.
That's where we had a mock most time. I mean, I won $10 from Greg on that, so I was,
He went to the Packers, right?
Yeah.
3rd round to the Packers, and they took. Did they take in the 2nd? They took another
Musgrave.
Yeah, they took Musgrave and
yep,
Kraft.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's where most of us, and like I said, I made a bet. Well, Greg made the bet with me about Kraft was going to not get out of the 2nd. I'll get to the 3rd.
We were hoping he'd make it to We'd hoping he'd make it to 92 to our pick in the 3rd, but he didn't.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So, what's your thoughts on Kraft there? AC, you go first. And I'll roll around the Ken.
Thoughts on Tucker Kraft?
Yeah.
He asked the wrong person, anyways.
No. Well. Oh. Okay. So now we're talking about is it Kuntz or is it Kraft?
Now it's Kuntz.
Okay.
Oh, it's Kuntz.
Oh,
yeah. Where Kuntz went in the 7th round.
I was going to say Kraft went to the Packers. What in the 3rd round, right?
3rd. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like,
yeah,
what do you mean?
I don't think killing somebody gets you in the 3rd round, but I mean, maybe I don't know. Anything wrong about that, but I think, and Kent he's way smarter than I am. He would know better than I, but he's probably just one of the guys how he tested that fans, draft nicks, and people outside of front offices liked way more than teams did. That's just kind of, it seems like the reality with a player like that, right? It just, he tested well, he's got the tools, it looks like, and you kind of feel like, wow, that should be a guy early day 3 probably that you take a chance on, and teams just didn't feel that way. I mean, they passed on him time and time. What did he go 7th round, right?
7th round, yeah, all the way to the 7th.
Yeah. So, I mean, teams had opportunities for him over and over again, and they kept passing. So
I know he ended up with the 10 RAS score for Kuntz, but he had an ACL injury that kept him out for a lot of the season. So I wonder if maybe there's some injury things with him too. We don't know. That's why I always say we don't know the medical side of some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's possible. One thing that goes into it is a lot of these guys, and you'll see this if you really pay attention to the draft during draft day, particularly day 2. A lot of the guys that we think are falling aren't falling. And a lot of the guys we think are rising aren't rising after the combine. And it's not that testing doesn't matter. It's that the testing tends to line up with tape. And if it doesn't, teams have questions as to why. If a team is looking at a guy and he doesn't look very fast, he looks stiff on tape, but he tests really well, that might help him. If a team thinks that they can develop the skills that he does have. But if they go back to tape and they're like, I'm not sure that this is going to be as easy to develop. I'm not sure this is coachable. They're not going to draft him higher just because he tested well if they don't see it on tape. It all has to work together. It's not just the numbers as much as I would like it to be, because that would make me much more popular.
Make it a little easier, right?
Yeah, it would be a lot easier if everything was just numbers.
Well, I mean, you'd be a GM, right? If it was just numbers, you would be the guy.
You're working for the Colts right now.
So, did you pull up Redmond?
I did. I'd moved on. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine.
He had a high
That's
sevens
Okay.
score.
I like
Uh,
Brett
Did
Maher.
really well.
And then Utah State, Calvin Tyler, running back, signed with the Bengals. If you don't have that one. And then this is a bigger name who, was projected like at one point first round, but then third round. Andre Carter, the second from Army, went to the Vikings.
Ooh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Andre Carter is one of those guys where, in fans' eyes, he fell for the wrong reason. I think NFL teams were still looking at the same thing on tape that they were right before the combine, but he didn't test all that well. One thing that fans don't really realize is that not every school has the same access to resources and time for draft prep as every other school, right? And it makes sense when you think about it for more than a second. Bigger schools have better resources. They have better facilities. They have more time.
Better training, strength coaches, everything, more time to do that.
All the above.
But so when you're in the Army, when you're in the actual
service academies, service academies don't have that.
But the thing is, they let him actually do stuff, right? To try to more than any other Army or Air Force or whatever guy before, let him go chase his dreams, which is kind of cool. They let him do that.
Yeah, they always should. For me, that's always been a huge recruiting win. Like, I don't know why teams don't just do that. It's so weird that they argue back and forth about this every year. It's such an easy recruiting win to just let players do that and pursue it. But whatever reason, they decide not to.
All right, Tom Brooks here. What about the tight end from Georgia, Darnell Washington?
Yeah, he tested really well. They said there was some kind of issue with his knee that had came up. I've heard people say like it's a chronic knee injury and stuff like that. It isn't. It's like one injury that he had either had surgery or had a scope for. All that stuff.
This came up after the combine.
Yeah, after the combine.
The combine, he killed it.
Yeah,
that's what Pork Chop was like dying to get him.
Yeah, I would have loved to have him. Now he's a Steeler, so fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. just like Dwan Jones, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy too.
He's a Brown.
Yeah,
well, they're not good anymore when they sign with other people.
Right.
Well, they ain't gonna fucking win nothing. That's for goddamn sure.
All right. Stranger says Tom knee issue we didn't know until draft. What I don't even know what he's talking about. Do you guys know?
I think now, Jeff, they're just trying to make it sound like you can't talk.
Probably, yeah. I'm literally reading what he said. I'm like, maybe they can't.
How about this signing, Kent? Let's see if you have the Iowa fullback Monty Pottebaum signing with the Steelers on a deal that includes $10,000 signing bonus. His nickname is Monty the Mullet.
Oh, I like the
mullet. I got to pull that one up. So I do have him. He had a really good RAS too, 8.77. All green in the bottom of his car. Great explosion drills, great agility drills, decent enough speed and size grade. But that's the Steelers. God, he's going from Iowa.
Oh, whoa. You cussed on the show. We refer to him as the Squealers here. Okay? Yeah, say it right.
I gotta try to stay neutral.
We don't fucking cuss on the show, Kent. We say Squealers.
You can also refer to them as those sons of bitches.
Like one does.
Did you get Deslin Alexander, the Pitt D lineman, to the Jets? I'm just trying to help Ken out since he's giving us time. I'm trying to help him work here, guys.
I've been posting guys this entire time, and I will never run out of guys to post. It's amazing to me how many players sign. Where did Deslin go, you said?
He went, let me go back to the Jets.
Jets.
Probably a tight end, right?
Well, defensive end. He could be a fullback convert too. A lot of people have been converting. Oh, wow. Monty the Mullet does certainly have a mullet.
You found a picture of him? Jeff, that should be your job. Go find a picture of this guy for us.
I'm not going to lie. I'd have a couple of beers with that dude. It would probably be a lot of fun.
Hey, real quick, AC's got to go. So,
okay.
AC.
It's a pleasure for talking with all you guys. Ken, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I enjoy your work, man, and keep it up. I know I'll be relying on you heavily in the future for all we do, and appreciate you, man.
Hey, AC, Godfather, we appreciate you all the time.
Thank you guys. I always appreciate you guys letting me come on and intrude.
No, you never intrude. We told you.
Anytime, bro. Anytime.
All right,
Good
so
day.
we're
From Anthony
ya.
Montalvo. Anthony Montalvo's agent just texted me and let me know that his client has signed with the Dolphins. Another uber athletic dude.
Who am I looking up,
defensive
Dale?
tackle.
What was the guy's name though, Kent?
With the mullet. What was his name?
The mullet, Monty Potabaum.
Oh,
No,
God,
I was talking about the agent that texted you.
Oh, Anthony Montalvo, defensive tackle from Central Florida. Really good athlete. Had undersized, so his size grade was poor, but every other metric he had was above 80th percentile.
So what's your
real quick? Rhett from the NFL Network put on there his favorite pick of the third round was our pick with the running back from Brown.
Chase Brown.
Dude, we stole him.
love Chase.
I think we stole him.
We stole him.
Well, it was round 4 or 5. Round
4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was today.
Yeah,
No, it was round 5 because we took Charlie Jones in round 4.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
You're right.
That's right, because I wanted to run it back.
What'd you want me to look up?
One.
Give me the name.
Monty the mullet. If you type in Monty the mullet,
I can't spell. Okay.
Oh, geez, you can't spell. Jesus. Do you have Eastern Kentucky D lineman TK McClendon Jr. already?
Clendon. I don't have him posted, I don't think.
Okay, that's fine.
Who did he sign? You can't leave me hanging like that.
Well, the Titans. I was like, who's tipping these a lot? And I went to Tom Pelissaro for you. So these should be legit too, obviously.
The Eastern Kentucky Colonel Sanders is. I don't know if you guys have seen their logo. I'm posting them right now. But I think they're the Colonels, I think. But they're just Colonel Sanders in a cowboy hat.
Which now I'm scrolling back a little farther, but if you might have some of these. Cornerback from Purdue, Reese Taylor to the Chiefs.
There's one in the chat went to the Bengals. Devonsha Maxwell, DL.
Yeah, we can pop that one up on the screen too.
Yeah, you guys are getting a taste of what this is like. This is my whole.
I can't imagine. No, I can't imagine.
And like half of these guys, they're reported as a signing, but a lot of these guys are gonna be tryouts. They're gonna be team tryouts rather than signings. And
that's true.
They'll get brought in for another team, and then people will be very confused.
Now, here's one that probably has a good chance to stick, or at least where I had him ranked: Syracuse running back Tucker to the Bucks.
I did post him. Yeah, Sean Tucker.
Okay.
He only tested right at the very end. I don't think I have. Let me check my inbox. I don't think I have his official testing for the year. It came so late.
One of them sleeping and the other one's fixing his fucking garbage disposal.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my whole life when it comes to this. Undrafted free agency is fantastic. There's so many guys that get signed that like they don't have any opportunities elsewhere. That's one of the big things I like about doing Raz is that you get to see a lot of these players that don't really get a lot of hype elsewhere. Jake Witt got signed by the Colts, got drafted by the Colts.
I like that signing. He was one I was kind of where the Bengals hadn't taken a tackle. I was like, there's a guy who's, he's going to need some time, but man, developmental guy.
Yeah. Always go for developmental guys when you can, man.
Yeah, well, late in the draft too, because practice squad them, you hope, for a year or two.
Well, that's the thing is like the 6th and 7th rounds, and to a lesser extent the 5th, but the 6th and 7th rounds are just undrafted free agency dibs.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's not. Oh, this guy's going to be a huge. No, you're just calling dibs. That's all you're doing.
I got you another one another one I thought could have been drafted just now to the Panthers, and that's Cam Peoples from App State, running back.
Just saw that.
I think I posted his. I posted a bunch of Carolina ones. One of my Carolina buddies sent me.
So when I type in Monty the Mullet, all I get is Monte Rice.
Monty Potabaum.
Monty Potabaum.
Potabaum. Pottebaum.
Oh, geez, I'll do it myself, Jeff.
That is a hell.
Teeuam. There you go.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Whatever. Let's see what happens here.
Well, I've got it.
You got it? How did you find it already?
He typed
it in.
I
typed his name
too. The hell? Jeez.
Here's this good looking
Oh,
son
shit.
bitch.
Dang.
There you go. See? You guys know.
The Bengals weren't never going to draft his ass. He's too
See,
ugly.
You know what he's missing here, though? And he's going the completely wrong direction here. He's got the beard, but no mustache.
Yeah,
Right.
no mustache at all.
It's
Well,
just-
if I look close, I
shame.
think where he has light hair,
Might be a
his
little bit.
mustache is really light.
Oh, he does. It's just really light.
Very small. Very
Poor
small.
guy. Poor guy.
That's a shame.
You just got to let it go. It'll eventually grow in.
Yeah.
Right. Well, dude, I'm 48, and this is all I can grow. I get nothing on the side. So
you already have Jalen Wayne, the South Alabama Reggie Wayne's cousin,
I didn't have Jalen
to the
Wayne
Buffalo
on there.
Bills.
Bills, nice. Good signing for them. I like Wayne. He's a guy that, if I remember, I'm pulling up his card now. Yeah, so he only ran a 4.51, and like he was supposed to be much faster than that, so he got dogged for that a little bit. He's plenty fast. 4.5 is plenty fast.
hold on a second. I'm a little hurt by this. Dave, I'm here. I'm like, who else do you need from Bengals? We got me. We got Pork Chop. And we got Greg. Who else do we need from Bengals and Brews? Like, what are you talking about?
Were you insulting us, Dave?
Yeah, we're all here. I don't understand. Well, I'm a little hurt by that comment there.
By the way, Ken, are you happy about the Michigan punter with the same mustache as you got pretty much?
I was told he might not have the mustache anymore, and now I'm sad.
Oh,
We're starting a petition in fucking Cincinnati. Bring that goddamn mustache back.
I'll have to start
right.
growing mine out and
yeah.
twirling it.
Whatever
like it,
number
though.
he gets, I'm gonna get a T-shirt with that fucking number on it, and it's gonna say "free mustache rides."
All right. Despicable here. Yes, Jason Kirkland is my favorite UDF so far. All right. So what's your favorite undrafted free agent there, Kent, that hasn't been signed that you know of?
Oh, that hasn't been signed. That's tough because I'm not entirely sure who all hasn't been signed yet.
Man.
There's so many guys out there. Oh crap! I've already changed my sheet over to 2024. Gosh.
Oh damn.
Forget that I do that at the end of the 5th round because of all the sim changeover stuff. Draft season doesn't end. If you guys don't know, it doesn't end. It's never ending.
Never does.
It never ends for Dale either. Dale's already working on 2024.
Yeah, I've got my entire watch list for 2024 through undrafted guys. Like, I'm ready to go.
Oh, Griffin Hebert probably is a fullback out of La Tech. Had the highest RAS ever for a fullback. Played wide receiver and tight end in college, but is expected to be a fullback in the pros. A couple of years ago, we had a player come out who got referred to as a superback, and that concept has kind of stuck. And there's a couple of teams that already use a superback. The 49ers do. The Ravens have. Kyle Juszczyk's the best example of a player like that. Dan Vitale from Northwestern back in 2016 was the guy that kind of coined, where that term kind of got coined. And every year there's always at least one guy. And he's this year's version of that. I'm going to look and see if somebody signed him.
So Matt says Cedric Jackson, wide receiver Auburn to the Bengals. He says Bo Jackson's nephew.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that he came out too.
That's fucking weird. Bo Jackson's nephew coming to the Bengals.
Yeah, we're the ones that injured him.
Hey, at least
Right.
that curse is broken. That playoff curse is
Right.
broken now. So
My fullback I was just mentioning got signed by the Seahawks.
What about Stephon Gilmore? Was his brother or his cousin? Or
Steven.
yeah,
The parents are apparently lack originality.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen.
He
him
didn't
yet
get
either.
drafted.
He
I
did
didn't
not.
see that he went anywhere yet.
No, and I'm not surprised he didn't get drafted. He's not anywhere near the same level of player.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like he's been signed yet.
and Derek, this is also your show, and it's not my guy. It's my wife's guy because she thinks he's very attractive. Josephus,
Josephus.
he's a Hawaiian guy, got the locks, got the
Ah,
nice
damn.
hair, the complexion. Here's another one. I don't know if you got it, Kent, but Fiji's keeping up with these pretty good too for us. TJ Bass from Oregon
Ooh,
to
excited.
the
Where'd he go?
Cowboys. Cowboys.
That's a good signing for them. I like that.
He had a draftable grade for me.
Yeah, his teammate. I'm usually pretty good about Hawaiian and Samoan names, but I am not going to attempt his because I haven't been able to get it down. I don't know why. Some names just stick with you. But he has a teammate on that line who got drafted late in the draft. Also another elite tier
The
athlete.
Alex Forsyth.
No. Malis Sala. Again, I'm normally much better at those names. I'm just not for this one.
Dude, the names are so they're getting more difficult too from my list for next year. I know we talked about the Kool-Aid McKinstry, but there's some names I'm like, oh gosh. What is Tanner? Yeah, I was going to say that's a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Tanner Morgan. Did he find a roster? Really?
Went to Pittsburgh, I guess.
Wow, that surprised me. I try not to dog players as much as I can, but I'm actually surprised that he made a roster somewhere.
Well, that's a team he could compete for a starting position.
Oh God!
Trust me, he cannot.
He cannot. Even there, he can't.
It wasn't a knock on Tanner.
Yeah, I try not to dog players too much because I just don't really care to do that kind of stuff. But Morgan was one of those guys where there was this one fan who just kept, anytime I mentioned a quarterback, he's like, you need to watch Tanner Morgan. You need to watch Tanner Morgan. And I finally did because like I'm expecting there to be like a reason that I was supposed to, right? Like there's a reason that I'm supposed to go watch him. There wasn't anything there. I felt disappointed that I had spent time on it.
Now, do you guys know DJ Turner's name? Have you seen this? I know it was a big thing yesterday. His actual name?
Oh, the D and the J?
No, but it's Juan Drago.
Oh,
really?
So
really?
He's DJ Turner, but his name is Juan Drago.
That's not as cool as CJ Stroud, but that's pretty awesome.
Your name is Juan Drago.
Yeah, that's.
You guys know what CJ Stroud's full name is?
Oh, I don't remember it, but it was.
This is one of my favorite names in the draft because there's no J. I guess the J stands for junior, but his name is Coleridge Bernard Stroud IV.
Oh,
what?
Oh my gosh!
Wait, it sounded like porridge. You said it first.
Coleridge.
Oh, Coleridge.
Coleridge Bernard Stroud IV.
He got some fucking bougie parents.
Here's another one. I don't know if maybe this. You said you had a lot of the Panthers.
Yeah.
Rez John White, the corner.
I think I did get Rez John.
I
was watching for him specifically though. I was trying to see where he was going to go.
Could you tell me if the quarterbacks have went? Because I know there's not that many, but Malik Cunningham was a guy I thought the Bengals could potentially bring in.
Oh, it was in the chat earlier. They said Malik somewhere.
Yeah, I saw him get signed somewhere. Patriots.
Okay, and then my other one was the Tyson Badgett from like Shepherd. Who got voted. I haven't seen anything about him yet.
Bears got Tyson Badgett.
Okay.
Since we're doing name pronunciations, help me out here because this was my favorite pick of the Bengals draft. How do you pronounce the Princeton receiver's name again?
Andre Josephus.
Andre Josephus. Okay, I can remember that. Josephus.
At least that's my understanding for how to pronounce it.
It almost sounds like Andre, hey, yo, Beavis.
Well, like when I'm watching him, every announcer pronounced it a little different.
Yeah. So the Lions had a guy, Amani Oruwariye, and it was fantastic watching people stumble over that name. And it's like it's pronounced exactly how it's spelled. It's just not a name that you're used to seeing in print. When you get to it, you're just like, oh God.
I still call the fucking guy in Miami Tua. I ain't even fucking trying that last name.
Tongo Bailoa. I had a girl that I worked with when I was in the Navy. Her full name was Lengalo Tupua Fiangiai.
Whoa.
Jesus shit.
Holy shit.
I spent a long time trying to learn that name, not because I was a tolerant person. I like to think that I became a more tolerant person as I worked with people like her, but because my boss butchered her name, and she would refer to her as Fagahi. And it's like she's from Samoa. And we'd be like, oh, Seaman Fagahi from the hills of Samoa. It's like it's not the same thing.
Hey, As long
Did
as
you
we're
have
picking
this
the
one,
names.
Kent?
I went.
The Alabama guard here to the Jets.
Which
Ekior Jr.
Junior.
Emil Ekior Jr.
Oh, Emil Ekior. God, he didn't get drafted either. That's kind of surprising.
I know I had a 3rd to 4th round grade on him.
Where'd he go?
To the Jets.
But he's dealing with an injury, I know. But I wonder if that's just more serious than we thought it was, or maybe the recovery timeline is too long.
Yeah. And then, but that Rezjon, yes, Fiji's asking, is he the kid from Netflix? Yeah, I think he was on there. I don't think I watched that season, but I think I read that in The Beast.
Yeah.
Hey, we were talking about names. I went to school with a guy named Some Shit.
Some shit?
Look, he's from Thailand. I swear to God, where's he at?
Oh man.
Where the fuck?
So that reminded
Right
me.
Some shit. I ain't even trying the last name. He signed it for me. Some shit.
We had a guy in the Navy that I worked with whose last name was Anya. Oania.
Oh hell.
By itself, not that bad of a name.
First name was Get Up.
No, his rank was seaman.
Oh, shut up, man.
So whenever they would refer to him over our announcing system, it would be Seaman Anya.
Seaman Anya.
And it was just like he could not get out of his job faster. He could not get a rating faster, so he didn't have to hear that annianymore.
It's like, I want to rank up really quick. Screw it. Rank me down.
He became a ship's serviceman, I think they were called at the time, which is like the people who run the ship's store and things like that. He didn't care about the job. He just wanted to get the rank, so he wasn't Seaman Anya anymore.
He didn't want Seaman Anya.
No.
Here's another running back, Jacob Salyers. He's Tennessee State running back to the Bengals. I don't know.
His name?
Never heard of him.
Jacob Sailors.
Jacob with a C?
JACOB SAYLORS is how they spelled it.
Wow, I don't think I even have him in the RAS database.
Did you have the Cedric Jackson, the Bo's nephew from Auburn that supposedly?
I did. I posted that one. Yeah, I posted that one.
And then we got Joel Wilson to the Saints tight end. I know ESPN still had him as their top tight end for quite a while today.
Who?
Joel Wilson.
Oh, I think I posted him a little bit ago. East Tennessee State, Jacob Sailors. I do have numbers for him. He's not in the RAS database, so I can get him later, but I don't have him right now.
Yeah.
4.66 in the 40, so he's probably not going to have a super high score.
Yeah, I mean, running back with that alone.
Yeah. Is he bigger? No, he's not. If he's a bigger guy, that's not that big of a deal, but.
So just some stats here that Willie Lutz put up for the Cedric Jackson. He had 66 catches and 874 yards for Auburn this year. So he had some production.
It's got some speed to him. Wait.
Have you got Cam Jones, the linebacker from Indiana, yet?
I did think I got that one.
He went to the Chiefs. He got a $15,000 signing bonus, $135,000 base salary guarantee. So
they like him then.
Yeah, and that's probably why Tom posted that, was to update the money.
Lance Boykin signed with the Seahawks. That's a Carolina Coastal guy, defensive back.
I got a Coastal Carolina Jared Clark D tackle. You already get him too.
Oh God, no! I didn't even realize he didn't get drafted. He should have been drafted.
Yeah, he went to the Chargers, a $5,000 signing bonus and $100,000 base salary guarantee.
God, that's a good nose tackle. I'm surprised he got drafted.
Didn't he test like somewhat decent for his size?
For a nose tackle,
yeah.
Yeah, really good for a nose tackle where he tested. But I know some people didn't have him rated anywhere near getting drafted anyway. So it's kind of one of those like maybe that'll get him drafted kind of things.
Yeah, I think I had a 5th or 6th on him. I don't. Tayshaun Manning. Did you already get him to the Ravens? Kentucky O lineman. He got $20,000 signing bonus.
So many of these dudes. Tayshaun Manning to the Ravens.
God.
Yeah.
So what are your guys' favorite Bengals picks that you guys picked up then?
First three.
First three?
These guys can tell you, man, I've been all about the fucking defense. First three.
Yeah.
My favorite pick, and Dale can vouch for this, the Princeton wide receiver, Andre Yosivas.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked him up. 6'3", ran like a grade 40. His RAS score is like literally a perfect 10. Obviously, the knock on him is he was in the Ivy League. But it's like, this is a perfect situation. He's not going to be told to start. I mean, what better big guys to learn from than from Chase, Boyd, and Higgins? Oh, yeah. I don't think we need to question if he's smart or not either, right?
Nope.
So, I mean, this is just a perfect fit. I mean, he's got so much talent. I mean, I think this guy could be a huge steal for us. I mean, I have no problem saying that.
I like the draft overall, but it was Chase Brown. He was like far and away my running back one that was left there in the 5th round. And he's productive. He's fast. They said he broke the most tackles according to PFF. Anyone besides this guy named Bijan Robinson that I think went 8th overall. So I'm like, sign me up for that. Yeah, so I really like Chase Brown pick for the Bengals because they lost P. Ryan, and they need another running back in that room.
Yeah.
If I had to nail one down, it'd be fucking DJ Turner because Miles Murphy, I never even thought about him because I guess I thought he'd be gone before we got to pick him. But DJ Turner, somebody I brought up that second round or later, I'd love to have.
Have the
What'd you
Bengals
say his
brought
fucking
in any?
name was what? Something Drago?
Juan Drago.
Juan Drago.
Have the Bengals brought in any tight ends?
No.
Any at all? Even in the draft?
Yeah, because Fiji's posting some more tight ends. Leonard Taylor, Cincinnati. He's going to the Jags. Noah Gendorf, who I had as a priority free agent in my rankings from North Dakota State's going to the Seahawks.
Isn't he a fullback though? More a fullback?
I think he could. Well, that's Hunter Lepke.
Oh, that's Hunter Lepke. Okay, I knew there was one of them.
Yeah.
Gendorf's just been hurt a lot for them. That's been his problem. And then I selfishly wanted DJ Dell as an undrafted free agent from Alabama, even though he's not a great player. He went to the Bills, though. But I wanted him, and I wanted him to get number 69. So I get a 69 Dell jersey.
It's one way to look at it.
It's pure selfishness.
Pure selfishness is fine. I do that with every player. Like BJ Ojulari tested this year, and he really shouldn't have. I believe from what I was able to gather that he was testing more to show where he was in his recovery from injury than to put up any kind of numbers. But he did qualify for RAS and had a below average RAS.
Below 5, right? He was 4 something.
So I posted, every time I posted it, I mentioned that I don't believe he tested to put up numbers. He was testing to show where he was in his recovery.
Yeah.
But personally, as much as I know that and I understand why they shouldn't test, I want everybody to test every time. I think that every data point is valuable. And even guys that are testing injured, I think that's valuable because if you have a guy who is injured when they test and you know what that looks like, it helps you identify guys who are injured in testing and not just bad athletes.
Yeah.
You know, Tease Tabor, the Lions drafted some years ago in the 2nd round because Bob Quinn's a moron.
Florida corner, right?
Yeah. So there was a whole thing that year about how he had injured his hamstring during his workout, and it was incorrectly reported as having been at his pro day where he injured his hamstring, and it wasn't. It was at his private workout with the Lions after his pro day. And the reason that's important is that he ran like a 4.63, I think, at the combine. He ran a 4.73 at his pro day. He did significantly worse at the University of Florida pro day, a notorious fast track.
Right.
And the whole thing was, well, he hurt his hamstring. He hurt his hamstring. He hurt his hamstring. It's like, yeah, after that, like later, he hurt it. What's his excuse for at the pro day being that awful, you know? But I think that knowing when that happens and being able to understand it would be valuable data point. Now, injuries are obviously something that it does not need to be private information. I totally understand that. I'm still selfish about it. I still want data I have no right to.
Yeah.
Personally, I get that I don't. I still want it.
Now, so people were speculating, okay, DeJuan Jones didn't want to do his full testing because it was going to be like Orlando Brown situation where, oh, maybe you're potentially a first-round guy. You test awful like he did. I know Orlando Brown had one of the worst RAS scores.
Yeah.
And he fell to the third. But I'm like, well, if that was the case and DeJuan Jones didn't test, now he went clear in the fourth or fifth, even wherever he ended up going. Fourth or fifth.
Third, I think. I think in the late third.
No, he was fourth or fifth to the Browns today.
Oh, DeJuan Jones. Sorry. I was thinking of
He went in the third.
Yeah. So here's Orlando Brown didn't just have a bad combine. Like he didn't just test poorly. He was reprimanded during the combine for loafing, which is like, I don't know how, like that's like popping in some chew while you're in a job interview and asking if they have a cup, like a spit cup, in the middle of a job interview. Like,
is that a bad thing?
In general, it's considered poor etiquette outside of several specific occupations. In white-collar jobs, that's considered poor etiquette. But on top of that, I mean, he had a 14 bench, which is terrible, but he has long arms, so the bench doesn't really matter. He ran a 5.85 40. DeJuan Jones is 30 pounds heavier, and he ran a 5.35, which is poor, but that's a half a second faster than Orlando Brown ran. Orlando Brown had a 19.5-inch vertical, which is still one of my favorite statistics ever. I have accidentally jumped higher than that.
Saw a spider.
I get out of bed and my dog is there and I don't want to step on it. Higher than that. And mind you, it sounds like I'm making fun of the player. I am a little bit because it's funny to kind of look at it. But Orlando Brown doesn't win because he's a great athlete. He wins because of his length and his understanding of angles and, of course, strength, physical strength. And we know how he wins because he's talked about it. He's explained how he wins in detail and why those athletic testing metrics don't do a good job of capturing why he's a good player. And
smart, he's a smart dude.
Yeah, very smart.
And he's my fucking best friend.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that.
I'm glad I wasn't talking shit.
Yeah, right.
But my point was, like, there's a lot of guys who win in ways that we don't track in the metrics that we have.
Right.
And the metrics that we have don't necessarily encapsulate what makes those guys good. And DeJuan Jones, I think, is one of those guys. I mean, he has almost an inch and a half longer arms than Orlando Brown has, on top of being 30 pounds heavier. He's got a longer wingspan. He's significantly more athletic as far as how good his movement skills are, especially for his size. But the big concern with DeJuan Jones is he going to hold up over time? Guys with that kind of size, they get back injuries, they get knee injuries. I mean, that kind of stuff pops up very quickly with those guys. So,
and nothing against that guy, but we fucking hope he sucks now.
Yeah, you got him.
Yeah.
You got him when they're on an opposing team.
That's right. Twice a year we got to see his ass.
Now, these two guys got to meet him, though, just, what was that, Thursday?
Thursday. Yep. So I remember I entered on Instagram and all that. And then, like, I'm finishing up work. I get a phone call. I'm like, oh, this is a scam call. I'm like, yeah, who is this? And all that. They're like, oh, hi, you won a contest. You won that contest to meet Orlando Brown and all that. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. They're like, no, it's okay. But anyway, me and Pork Chop got to go. And I tell you, It was a meet and greet that this was all his idea. He brought us pizza and everything.
Oh,
Just
that's cool.
one of the nicest, Pork Chop can vouch, one of the nicest people you'd ever meet. Such a very humble guy and all that and stuff. He said a very interesting quote and all that I'm probably not going to say live and all that, but
I'll fucking
all
tell
right,
you.
everybody say it. You say it, Pork Chop.
He said, I ain't no different than you. We all wipe our ass the same way.
Yeah, well, no, I wipe my ass just like you guys all do. I thought that was so cool. I mean, he was just a laid back guy. Yeah. Like, you know, he was like telling us stories in Oklahoma, this, that, and the other. Well, his agent was there, so I asked his agent, so are there any other teams interested? He's like, I can't talk about that. Then we asked Orlando. He's like, oh, yeah, Pittsburgh was interested in me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool. I would love to meet a lot of those guys that didn't test well, because it's one of those things where, like, a lot of people think that I hate the players that test poorly, because I talk about like success rates and things like that, and it's all just the math. It's not taking into account who the player is. It's not taking into account the character part of it. It's not taking into account the tape. It's just looking at the testing metrics. But I think a lot of those guys would find some of those things kind of funny. And I think Orlando Brown is one of those guys. I think if he saw his own vertical, he would laugh. He would understand that that's kind of funny, you know, because he knows in hindsight what that looks like down the road. He knows what he's become since then. Jarvis Landry would be my favorite person to meet and talk about his metrics, because I built a ideal Pro Bowl wide receiver a couple of years ago, which had like all of the best testing metrics from all of the best wide receivers in the last 30 years. And several of those were Calvin Johnson. There was a couple other guys in there that kind of had repeats. And then I built, as a joke, the worst best receiver. And literally half of those metrics were Jarvis Landry. It was just
what was his RAS? Was it 0.83?
0.27.
0.27. Oh, even worse than I thought.
Oh man.
Alex Reno, who writes for Pride of Detroit, some years ago, he had decided to do some of the combine testing, and he had a better RAS than Jarvis Landry did, because he's taller and he weighed like, I think, 7 pounds more. And even though he bombed all of the metrics, that was enough to get above him.
Yeah.
And Jarvis obviously was a very damn good player in the NFL, you know, like, but yes, it's funny to look back at it and be like, this is historically bad.
I got to drop off for just a second, guys. I'll be right back. I want to talk about a couple other guys that didn't test well. That'll be a little closer to home for you guys.
Here's one for you too, though. If you didn't have, if that just came in, Bucks or Keem Jarrett from Maryland.
Yeah, I'll grab that one in just a second. Yeah. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay. Man, what a legend right there, guys.
No shit.
Good
That's
dude.
what this show's for, man. Legends.
Yep.
I mean, could you ask for a better guest for the draft to break down the draft and undrafted free agents?
Hell no.
Whew. Him and AC popping in, man.
Yeah.
And I already got the Mayor Pork Chopless and the Gregor.
Well, the Mayor Pork Chop is about to hop in the shower and go do
I know, buddy. You got to work, so thank you for today. Thank you for being in there today, too.
Hey, Pork Chop, let's just say before you get off, I had a hell of a time with you Thursday, man. I mean, such a memorable day that was.
It was a great day. I loved it.
I remember the first time that I had sex with a guy.
Yes.
I'm fucking with you guys.
That would have.
But I am going to put it in the chat, because I said we put in the chat and we get some of their draft thoughts. But we're also going to be still helping Ken. I just want you guys to know that if you pop in, give your draft thoughts, I'll probably pop you back out after a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to go get in the shower, man. But I love both of you.
Love you, bro.
New day, fucking great.
Don't work too hard, brother.
The whole draft extravaganza. I agree with everybody in chat. It was fucking beautiful. Yeah. And I can't wait to do it again next year.
Thanks, man.
Love you guys, man.
Take care, buddy.
Love you too. What's up, Greg?
Nothing much, man. Just a long day, right?
I mean, we didn't go for 7.5, 8 hours, and now we're doing another hour and a half so far.
Hey, you know what, dude? Like I said to myself, I was reading the tweets. This is 2 words to describe the draft. Premium draft. We got so many great premium players. I mean, remember I kept telling you, if we don't get a tight end, I'm going to be so mad. It's like looking back at it now, it's like, do I still?
I still say it's still fair. I think it's fair for people to say, I wish we could have nabbed a right tackle,
right? No,
and a
that's
tight
fair.
end, and a 3-tech pass rusher. Those are still fair things to say.
Yes,
but let's not discredit the players that we did get, and they're phenomenal players. They're going to help
exactly. These are going to be premium players that are like, very big time contributors and all that. I mean, this is oh my gosh, man. I mean, going blue.
Yeah, Michigan.
Oh yeah, no.
Fiji's a Michigan fan.
Yeah, no. So Dale, I got to ask you, as a Buckeye fan, my brother went to Ohio State. Him and his buddies aren't too happy about this either, and I understand that.
I am thrilled. Like, that's one thing I don't.
Thank you.
I love the Brad Robbins pick from. Oh, there he's back with the ball hat, baby. But yeah, Brad Robbins, DJ. I love those picks. Dax Hill. I don't care where they played college ball at.
Right.
I want the Bengals to win a Super Bowl. I could care less.
No, it's like a bunch of Buckeye fans years ago. Remember when we drafted Chris Perry? I don't want Chris Perry and all. I do. I'll take him.
Well, Leon Hall too. It was
Leon Hall. Yeah,
fantastic Bengal.
I didn't care.
Yeah. All right, Kent, you back?
Yeah.
You got some good stuff for us, you said, here, maybe some closer to home?
So I wanted to talk about T. Higgins for a minute because that's one of those guys. That's another guy that didn't test all that well. And it seems like it's always receivers, but there's always one of those guys that I end up having to talk about specifically about how, they didn't test well. It doesn't matter because they either win in a different way or how they did test individually, like on a granular level, fits their style of play. We had that conversation about DK Metcalf. People were throwing this big hissy fit because DK Metcalf had these horrible agility drills. And it's like, where in how he plays does that inhibit him from playing well?
Right.
Like, where is it where he's trying to make some turn and you're like, God, that looks like it's going to limit him at the next level. It's like, who cares? He's a giant who runs 1,000,000 miles an hour. Nobody gives a crap that he can't turn super well. T. Higgins has 34.25-inch arms, or 34.1/8-inch arms. And he won because he has that ridiculous wingspan. And for his size, he had really good speed. Did his speed look well compared to other wide receivers? No. But for a guy that's almost 6'4" and over 215 pounds, running a 4.54 is fantastic. That's really good speed.
Exactly.
And considering his wingspan, I mean, we always talk about football as a game of inches, and I don't think people really understand how much that hits home. Because when you have a guy who is running, a 4.35, and another guy who runs a 4.55, that guy that's running a 4.55, if he's a corner, isn't necessarily slower than the other guy, depending on the defensive scheme, depending on where he's set up in that defense, the routes that they're running, the reaction speed of that cornerback can mean a lot because you miss out on a fraction of a second.
Reaction speed, the awareness, the knowing kind of what you think's coming based off of tendencies and.
Yep, and it's just fractions of seconds, right? But those fractions of seconds is also distance. It's time over distance over time. So those little clicks, those little bits of time, they start to matter when you have a guy that has really crazy route running. It's part of why a guy like Cooper Kupp can be really successful despite running a 4 in the 4.6 range. Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions, another guy who wins despite not having run very well because he's so explosive, whereas Kupp's kind of more quick. Amon-Ra St. Brown's more explosive.
Yep.
But the same concept. They're just getting that distance in a different way. It's not just the 40-yard dash. T. Higgins, with that wingspan and the length of his arms, he's able to create additional space that other defenders just can't really compete with. Because what are you going to do if you run a 4.35 and you're in perfect positioning for an inside pass on T. Higgins? But that pass doesn't go inside. It goes outside, and you have to try to get to where that ball is going to be faster than his arms can get there. And it's part of why T. Higgins was such an intriguing prospect despite his testing, because it didn't really matter that he didn't have this elite testing, because the way that he won is perfectly translatable to the NFL. It's still a way that a guy can win. I had to have that conversation about Calvin Ridley, who tested perfectly fine in the areas where he won. This year, we had that conversation about Jordan Addison, where he tested perfectly fine in the areas. Well, he should have tested perfectly fine. They made him run in a monsoon for his agility drills in Southern California. There's this huge rain. Like everybody at the USC, Fresno State, and UCLA pro days, they all tested poorly because they were running in like completely flooded fields.
And how many people are going to
right.
go back and have that note of it, you know?
Right.
They're just going to see the number.
Exactly. So, you know, whenever you're watching a guy and you see the numbers like this, that's why it's important to understand the context. As much as I use the numbers, you know, you can't just say, well, that's his number and that means he's bad. He's a bad athlete. Well, maybe by comparison, I mean, that's what Raz does. It's a comparative metric. That's what the R does. The R does so much heavy lifting for Raz.
Yeah.
You know, the A is athletic, the S is score. Those are simple. The R is relative. That it's relative to the player's position. It's relative to the player's draft year. And it's relative to each individual metric. There's a lot of heavy lifting there. So you have a guy like T. Higgins who wins in such an interesting way. The fact that he didn't test fantastic isn't problematic. You know, it isn't. If his arms had been shorter, or if he had been significantly smaller than he actually was, maybe that would have been in the conversation of, you know, I'm a little worried about whether this is going to translate. But he was perfectly fine in the areas he won in. It's not an issue. When you're scouting a player and they test below what you would have expected, that's the stuff you look at is, does he still test well in the areas I expected him to do for how he wins? And if the answer is yes, then who cares about the overall?
Right. Now
I made the metric and I don't, you know?
Yeah. One thing, when you do D tackle and D end, and sometimes it's hard, you know, to say this guy's going to project to be a D tackle or he's going to stay at a D end. How much does it really matter overall? Because I know then you think like nose tackles are different things. I mean, but has that been any kind of problem too to where you guys, or do you try to sometimes give both for certain guys as well?
Yeah, I used to do that a lot, where I would post a guy as both a D end and a D tackle. Last off season, the beginning of last off season, when I was ill and dealing with that stuff, when Eric was doing all the heavy lifting and building out the compare tool and that stuff, I built out the ability to run separate player positions so that we could check other player positions like edge and interior defensive lineman rather than defensive tackle, nose tackle,
right,
interior offensive lineman, all those different individual positions that we have now. I wanted to build those out. That functionality exists for Raz. What's missing is the data sets.
That's what I was going to say. You need more.
Yeah. And that's where it gets really hard because of that R that does all that heavy lifting. It's all relative. And it needs a data set that is sufficient for what you're comparing. And that's really problematic because you can't.
It's going to take a while, especially specifically for like a nose tackles, you know, to get just this group of big guys that each year is what, 5 guys?
And even then, it's not just the big guys because there are smaller nose tackles.
That's true.
And 2 of the scores that you give a player for Raz are height and weight.
Yeah.
So if you put a player into that nose tackle group because they are 6'3" or over 6'3" and over 320 pounds, or you're setting a level. It's creating what's called a determinant data set, which is where you are predetermining some of the scores that you are going to give, some of the actual evaluation that you're going to give players inside this data set before you even do anything. Before you run any comparisons, before you look at any data, you are saying this player is included because of things that are being scored. And it pollutes your data set to do that. You have to look at it from a way that doesn't use those things. And that's difficult because now I have to go back and find out, do all these 330-pound guys play nose tackle?
Yeah.
And the Lions drafted a guy a couple years ago named PJ Johnson out of Eastern Carolina, I think. It's been a couple years. He was a bigger dude, huge dude. And they played him at nose tackle. They drafted him to be a nose tackle, but he didn't play nose tackle in college. They had him at defensive end because their defensive coordinator was an idiot. And he played so much defensive end. It was ridiculous. He was terrible at it. He went in the 7th round. He's a 7th round pick. But if I were to put him in a data set, is it fair to put him at nose tackle because that's what he would eventually be? Is it fair to put him in there because he was over 320 pounds? Or would I put him at defensive end because that's what he played? You know, that's what makes this stuff tough.
Yeah.
You can't just arbitrarily put guys into a data set. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No, I get it. I just wanted to ask that because I think obviously, like you're saying, the more data you're able to get, the longer, you know, that you can start to, but there's still, it's not going to be 100% perfect for the different reasons you just talked about. Now, I don't know if that's the easy thing to answer per se for Jordan Battle. What was his RAS lower?
Jordan Battle. He didn't have below. He had an above average one, but it wasn't like very high above average. Just a little bit above. 5.9. But he had a great speed score, which you'd expect. He has a pretty good mover. Poor explosion scores, poor agility drills, but kind of depends on what you're expecting him to do. You know, Jordan Battle can move. It's never been an issue with him. If you're expecting him to be that middle of the field free safety, I don't know that those explosion drills would really do him very well. That you're talking about suddenness when you're talking about both the explosion and the agility drills. You're talking about the ability to go from 0 to whatever quickly. The agility drills are more about like change of direction and being able to alter the course of where you're running, whereas the explosiveness is more planting your foot and then pushing up to speed, pushing off and getting up to speed. For a safety, that usually translates really well, having high in those drills to a zone safety, because you want to have a guy who can change direction quickly, who can alter where they're supposed to be based on the movement of the players on the field, the offensive players. When you have high speed and low everything else, that's usually a guy who's running a lot of man coverage drills, because you don't really care so much about the change of direction and stuff and that suddenness. You just care, can he get to the point he's supposed to when the ball's already in the offensive player's hands? And he can definitely do that. I don't think that's ever been a concern with Jordan Battle.
I think, but like we were kind of talking about T. Higgins, some of the way that Jordan Battle makes up for maybe some of those things we're talking about is his high IQ, his ability to take smart angles, his ability to know what's coming. And that's why I think, you know, because it is similar to Von Bell. I don't think Von Bell tested super elite either.
I think I know you guys had two guys, one guy that tested well and one that didn't. I think Von Bell was the guy that didn't test well.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Oh shoot, wrong question. This, because I said we didn't get a tight end. I don't know who this is.
Who?
Christian Trahan, tight end to the Bengals. I can't tell you guys who that is.
Well, you're not going to want to hear his rats.
Not great.
Where's he from?
Is this a convert? Is he a full from Houston? He's a fullback convert.
Okay.
So I'm assuming
maybe he'll be. Yeah.
Not so sure. It's not pretty. Unless you like red. It's not so great. But...
Red is not good for Raz. I think you know this, Kent. It's your system.
Not so much. It is 0.36. That's a great.
Oh my lord!
Well, that guy's not making the team.
No, hell no.
That's
Is just a guy that's there, or
maybe he's a really good blocker.
do you have where he's from at all?
Houston.
Okay.
From Houston.
Well,
he's from Louisiana. He's a Louisiana kid.
That makes sense. I'm looking up some pass from Clayton Tune to him right now. Clayton Tune was a fun prospect. I'm a little sad we don't have a Clayton Tune in the next class.
Matt, what did you think of the Bengals draft since you just hopped in with us, brother?
I'll give it a solid B.
Yeah.
I feel like We got a lot of talent. We really didn't like push the meter at the spots where I wanted to, which was tight end and running back. We didn't do too
You
much
don't like
with
Chase
those.
You don't
Brown?
like Chase Brown?
Hey, he's not going to push the needle. He's not going to improve anything.
I disagree, sir.
Matt, man, I don't know, buddy.
There's a reason why he fell so far.
You ever look at Isaiah Pacheco as a 7th-round draft pick, man? Got them. I mean,
Isaiah Pacheco. I was when we were going through the pre-draft process last year. I had 3 different people tell me that they were surprised that Pacheco even declared. That they didn't think that he should have. That they expected him to go back to school and get a little more seasoning, as they always say.
right.
But I mean, that don't matter when you get into an Andy Reid system and find your way on the field. Schematics, man. The NFL schemes are very favorable if you can get in one and fit.
Yeah.
That Trahan guy, I know why you guys got him though. He is a beefy dude. He is 256 pounds, and he looks like he's 280. He looks very thickly built. So pretty sure that's why you got him, is blocking.
How tall is he?
He's 6'2".
Okay,
super tall.
so almost somebody you could
Chonky.
see like that H-back type role
Yeah.
based on body size.
He's a chonky boy.
What's up, boys? What did I miss?
All kinds of stuff.
The Bengals won the
And
Super
nothing.
Bowl.
Yep.
What?
So hey,
Kent got his hat. Kent got his ball.
I noticed. I like that.
Yeah.
We got a fire going on in the back in the backyard here, so I had to go hang out with the girls for a little bit. So
Ken, tell me. I guess the one I just never knew enough about was Charlie Jones. Give me a 411 on Charlie Jones of what he can be. Is he a slot? Or can he do plays outside and slide? Give me a feel for what Charlie Jones brings to the Bengals.
Yeah, so his comparison prior to testing was Cooper Kupp.
Oh wow.
He was compared stylistically. He was compared to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
Okay.
put your dick back in your pants. The same as Cooper Kupp.
So
I'm
yeah,
just-
it's a stylistic comparison. He's much smaller. He's 175 pounds. He's a lot more slender. But he was significantly faster than what Cooper Kupp tested. Cooper Kupp tested really well in GPS metrics. The Lions actually their general manager was the director of college scouting at the time. And he's one of the guys that scouted Cooper Kupp, and his GPS marks were extremely fast. He was marked as very fast, and then he tested really poorly for the 40-yard dash. Charlie Jones didn't. He tested really well at a 4.43. And his agility drills were very similar to Cooper Kupp's in that they were very, very good. He's just a lot smaller, and he doesn't really have that suddenness in the same way that Cooper Kupp did to really make him a higher draft
He's
pick.
old. That's a knock. His age.
There's a lot of older guys. I mean, it can be a knock in most draft classes, and I think it's worth paying attention to.
So
but in
can I ask you a question?
this year and next
Why
year,
is Derek
we're gonna have a
not
lot of older guys. Huh?
why is Derek not on his own damn show? That's what I'm curious about. So legit question, and with the Bengals not drafting a tight end, I think they re-signed Wilcox, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kent, what do you think?
Yeah, if you don't draft anybody, you got to keep your own guys if you can. They could trade for somebody, but I haven't really looked around to see who's on rosters that also drafted players to like make them available yet.
Look at the Jets with 5 or 6 tight ends they have right now.
So what? Somebody's getting cut there, I would think.
Yes. When they have to cut 1/3 of their team, like when the new NFL rule, you have to think CJ was on. They got 2 high-paid tight ends and like 3 or 4 tight ends they drafted. You would have to think at least one of those tight ends will get cut. Am I right?
Probably. I mean, most teams only carry 3 tight ends. Some teams only carry 2. There's a few that carry 4 or more, but most
we
teams
got
carry 2 or
3 of
3.
it. The third one's Asiasi.
Wait.
So
Devin Asiasi.
yeah, that's our third one. And to me, I'm like Wilcox. I already had Wilcox as a third one.
Yeah, give me Ruckert. I would love to have if Ruckert's like Ruckert's like 4th on the depth chart. We can find a way to get him. I would say this is an A+ draft. It's still a great draft, but if you get Ruckert, we just aced the draft pretty much.
Yeah, Ruckert was injured coming out, so we never got any testing on him. I think
Right.
he probably would have been at least in that average to above average range. I don't think he's a bad athlete, but I don't think he has the same kind of movement speeds. Maybe like Michael Mayer, kind of in that range where people think he's a bad athlete, and then you have to defend the fact that he's a good athlete, but he's not a great athlete. So you can't you can't hype him as that.
Well, I saw he was compared to Dalton Schultz. Was that a fair comparison?
Dalton Schultz is he's one of my favorite players right now because he's the quintessential better than average athlete, not great athlete.
Right.
And once you explain to somebody he's a lot like Dalton Schultz, they know exactly what you mean from an athletic standpoint.
All right. So is there a chart I'm supposed to put up? Did we put up a chart earlier? He said I just put the chart for the best value in the draft. Bengals was 4th on it. So
valued by what?
I don't know. I'll put it this way, Kent. For who the Bengals drafted and where they drafted them at, what's the best value you think what the Bengals got in this draft?
Oh, I see what you're asking.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm not sure. So offhand, I'm going to cheat again and just say Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy was my 11th overall player.
Right.
So offhand, yeah, without looking, it is probably Miles Murphy.
Okay.
Because they got him in a really good spot.
And yes, we got a punter. Yes, we did.
Yeah, no, actually, that's the answer is Miles Murphy. I think everybody else that you guys drafted was right about where they were valued. I don't think they reached on anybody, including Brad Robbins.
What about the safety?
Jordan Battle?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Battle's a good player. He didn't test all that well, but I don't think that they reached on him at all either. Like I said, I think their value worked out really well for them. The only guy that really fell that they picked up was Miles Murphy, and everybody else they picked up is just pretty good value for that spot.
Yeah. Would you say the only reach was Charlie Davis? Was Charlie Davis a reach at number 4?
Well, you said his name wrong, Greg. What's his name?
Oh, no.
What's his name?
I can do this. Swizzle? No, Chuck Swizzle?
Oh, my God. You fucked it up.
What was it? Damn it.
Weasel. You're the one that kept saying it 500 fucking times.
I don't know. I forget. Just say it, Strawberry.
I think it was Chuck Sizzle.
Oh, I was right. Okay. Chuck Sizzle. Why was he a reach at number 4? I mean, I know I keep asking about him. No. He's the one I really didn't know much about, but I learned more about him. I'm fine with it. But was he a reach in the 4th round?
No, I don't think he was a reach in the 4th round at all. I think that's right about where he should have went, though. I know a lot of people really liked him coming into the draft. He's one of the guys I got asked about the most because I had him in there as Charles instead of Charlie. But a lot of people really like him, and it's not surprising to me at all that he was drafted in the 4th round. I think that was a good spot for him.
All right, so I'm putting the link in the chat. So if anybody's got a question they want to ask Kent or anything, any RAS scores or anything, or just discuss anything that the UFAs that are still out there that the Bengals or other teams might sign, whatever, just jump on the chat. Matt, where are you at on the draft, man? What do you think with what the Bengals did here?
I'll give it a B.
Give it a B?
I'm not as excited as everybody else is.
You want a tight end?
I want a tight end. I felt like guys that I wanted were just falling right past us, like left and right.
That's every draft, though, right?
There's a lot of guys there they could have taken, but I mean,
yeah,
I can't complain with what they did.
And I also gotta grade them lower because they let guys that are going to be big impacts fall to the Ravens, the Browns.
Like who? Give me some names.
Fucking Trenton Simpson in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I know you liked him. You're blowing it up on chat.
Oh, so mad about that one.
Right. Who else you got? Who else did they let go that they could have drafted?
Your boy.
DeJuan?
Offensive. Yep.
Yeah.
Let him fall right into the Browns.
All right, so Kent, where are you at with DeJuan? Because I was a big DeJuan guy, but I think the weight issues and him not willing to get on the scale.
Andre Smith,
supposedly, maybe he got a scale in private stuff. I don't know.
No, the medical thing is going to be the big issue with DeJuan. He's just really big, And when you have a guy who's really big, you have concerns about whether or not their back is going to hold up, whether or not their knees are going to hold up.
Right.
I would expect him to wear knee braces his entire career. I don't expect that. That's not a bad thing. A lot of offensive linemen do that.
Right.
But I would expect him to make that a premium. I don't think he's ever going to be without his knee braces during his career. It's possible that he does the same thing for his back. There's preventative things that you can wear for your back as well. And at that size, I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. It's just really hard to be a guy that's that big in athletics.
Right.
It's just hard. He's got a lot of really good talents that he uses
can
that
move.
size well.
Right now, he can move.
And he uses that size really well.
Right.
The question is whether or not he can hold up over time. And it's just one of those things that we don't really have enough information.
So is it the same thing as far as like Levi Jones? I mean, LC goes? Because he's a big dude. He's not as big as Dwan, but he's still big. And then he's had injuries, back, now knee. He's had I think hip problems.
Yeah.
These are the things that bigger guys have. So would he be a good comparable as far as the injuries go and the size with LC?
That's the concern, until a guy gets injured. See, that's the other problem is that until a guy starts getting injured, you can't just assume that they're going to have that. You can base a decision about a guy's injuries. I am notoriously conservative about injuries, just so you guys are aware of where I'm coming from on this. I am known for being conservative about injuries, and I will not even try to hide that fact. I am always very conservative.
All right, so Kincaid, you would have been off of then.
Yeah. I don't know if I've been off on him, but I would have been much more cautious. Same thing with Luke Musgrave, who I loved as a prospect.
Right.
He had an ACL tear and some other knee injury that he had.
Well, for me, both those guys are ones that I'm kind of off of because of how deep the tight end draft was, which I'm with Matt. It irritates me that we didn't get one single freaking tight end. We could have, and with as big as this draft class is, but it is what it is. But those are two guys that I was off of because of the injuries and because Bengals history. I mean, look at Tyler Eifert.
Well, you missed the guy we just picked up from Houston. His RAS score is elite. It's 0.3. 0.3.
He's really big, and I think that's the only reason it's 0.3. He ran like a 5.31.
I'm looking at some of the other signings.
He's DeJuan Jones playing tight end.
Kayvon Merriweather went to the Buccaneers. Anthony Johnson, Virginia corner, went to the Saints. That's some of the bigger names I'm seeing.
Anthony Johnson. We had an Anthony Johnson, an Anthony Johnson Jr., and an Antonio Johnson in this class.
This is the Virginia corner that is still out there, Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, I had a problem with him earlier because the NFL reported that the Packers drafted him, and then they changed it to the Iowa State one, which is Anthony Johnson Jr., because this stuff is impossible to keep track of.
Yeah, just a mess.
Who did he go to?
Let me go back up. He went to the Saints. Virginia corner Anthony Johnson to the Saints.
That was surprising that he tested as poorly as he did. He had a lot of GPS metrics that were saying he was going to test really well, and he tested very poorly. 30.5-inch vertical. Blech.
I had a draftable grade on Iowa safety, Kayvon Merriweather, and he went to the Bucks just now.
Yeah.
DeJuan Jones loves basketball because he's the shape of a basketball.
All right, Raz, what do you think about the Fiji's comment here?
Yes, I already said I really like that pick. I like Josephus as a pick because I like developmental guys when you have a coaching staff that is dedicated to development.
I keep calling you Raz, Kent. My bad.
What do you think, Raz?
I do that every time we come on a show. Like, what's up, Raz? I mean, Kent.
So let me tell you my favorite nickname while we're at it. There is a guy, I'm not going to dog him because I've dogged him enough for it, but I have a friend who I've been on his podcast every single year since I started. But this is going back a long time. So this is back in 2013. So
I didn't have a show then.
And I have known him for years, and he always mispronounced my name. A lot of people do. It's Platty. And I started going by my full name, Kent Lee Platty, because it kind of flows and it rhymes and whatever. And some people who were already pronouncing my name correctly started mispronouncing my name, and I got to Kent LaPlatte for some people. who were like they were pronouncing my name right, and now they would start pronouncing it wrong. But I had a buddy of mine who always referred to me as Math Bomb instead of Kent, and eventually he started calling me Matt. I'm assuming because Math Bomb, Matt, and he called me Matt for about a year before I corrected him, and he was like, and
I've called you Math Bomb, I've called you Raz, I've called you Kent on all every time you've been on the show, so I've used all of them.
It was like he was like, I have known you for years, and I know what your name is. How long have I been calling you a completely random different name?
The wrong name. Matt instead of Math.
I just let him keep going.
There's nothing wrong with being called Matt.
Here's a cool nickname. Texas Tech safety Marquez. His nickname is Muddy, and his last name is Waters. Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters.
Ooh, that's a great nickname. God, that's a good nickname.
Kind of like Dirty Waters. Who is Dirty Waters? That was the safety from the Broncos, and he passed away. What are the Eagles? Call him Dirty Waters.
Who did Marquise Waters go to?
The Jets.
That's a great nickname.
They got Muddy Waters in New
Muddy
York.
Waters. So what's the Raz on him?
Oh, he had a 7 I just had it up. 7.14. Pretty good Raz. Not terrible.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Like, I don't really love football.
Again, I got to put the comments in for the mustache. The mustache is iconic.
It's up there. I actually, when I first grew this, so I bought the hat first. This came first. Yeah. And what it was I just turned 40 this year. I told you I had an illness last year. The previous year I had been sick but didn't know that I had a serious illness. And right before COVID, this is before COVID stuff. And I thought to myself one day, God, I watched a show or something. Somebody was wearing a bowler, and I was like, God, I'd really like to get my bowler. I've always wanted a bowler. I've always wanted one of these. Wanted one. And then I just realized I'm almost 40. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Fuck yeah, you can. Fuck yeah, you can.
Why don't I own one? I've wanted one my whole life, and I don't have one. So I ordered one. COVID happened. It took an extra 3 or 4 months to get it because of COVID.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Last time you were on my show, you were like, "Yeah, I just cut my hair." Didn't you have your hair real long and your beard big too?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. This I hated that too, man. I hated having a beard because this is mostly gray. It don't look great because I have a lot of hair.
Brother, I'm with you.
So I have brown hair, dark brown hair, but most of this is gray. My beard is ginger as all hell. It's super ginger. And it's very itchy. I have a very red, itchy beard, and I hated it. But
yes, Robbie, we did sign Bo Jackson's nephew from Auburn.
Yeah. What I wanted to do was grow my beard out for my 40th birthday so that I could look as old as humanly possible. Because by this point, my beard was no longer red; it was mostly white. I'm growing like a white beard.
Mine. Oh This is damn near white. The mustache is still there.
So I have one white hair in my mustache, and it's really bright. I have to get rid of that one because it's really bright. But my beard is all white. So I grew that out so that I would look as old as humanly possible. Because my goal here was when people see me years from now, they're gonna look back on my birthday party. I had a huge birthday party with a bunch of family and friends. And I want them to look back on those pictures and be like, wow, you look so much younger now.
Yeah, that was so brilliant. That's brilliant, Kent.
Exactly.
It's the long game, man. You got to play the long game every time.
Right. Get those compliments later
this grows really fast, man. I grow facial hair so fast. When I was in the Navy, I had a buddy of mine. What was his actual name? A lot of people in the military don't go by their real names. You can go by something else. Gotti. We called him Gotti. His real name, I forget, but he was Italian. But he had to shave 4 times a day, multiple times a day, because he would get up in the morning at 6 and do his morning routine, shit, shower, shave, shine, do your thing. And by the time 8:30 rolled around, he would go to muster. And when you get muster, you get inspected. And it's a stupid little ritual you do where your chief walks by you and says, oh, you've got to iron your uniform or some stupid shit. And every day, without fail, you need to shave. He'd be like, I just shaved. What do you want me to do?
Shout out to Rally. He's given us like $100 in super chats over the last couple of days, but he gave us 2 hours super chat. So we appreciate it. The Monopoly Man when he was younger.
Wish I had that kind of money.
There you go.
Maybe they'll do a movie and you could star as young.
Yes.
Mr.
There
Monopoly.
you go. There you go.
I'll do it, man. What do you want me to start
Charlie
with?
Chaplin.
Catchphrase? I don't care. I'll
Get that
sell out.
money.
Sell out in a hot minute. But yeah, it's good times. So anyway, the hat came first, and then I grew the mustache as a way of like, you got it at that point. It was quarantine.
So how hard is it to twerk? Because I know Derek tried it and he gave up.
That's what happens.
You got to put stuff in it to stiffen it up, right?
Not at first. That's the I screwed up with that first too. They people tell you, you got to put stuff in it. At first, you don't really want to. You just want to comb it. You just want to keep combing it, and it'll look like shit for a long time. It just looks terrible. But over time, you'll do what's called training your facial hair, and over time, it'll start to do what you want it to do. And like this little bastard's being hard today. But mostly it just does what I want now. And
so you get a little curling roll and just roll it up, right?
No, you don't. I use a heating iron whenever I sleep on my side because I have back issues.
Right.
So I sleep on my side. So sometimes I'll wake up and whichever side I slept on is just off in its own world. And it'll be, it's terrible. So I'll have to get a hot iron out and
we got Dale.
Fix it.
Did you see this earlier, Kent?
What's that?
The Bengals 4 hours ago. Hey Siri, what is Raz? And how is Andre Josephus so good?
The Bengals did that?
Yeah,
there
this
you
is the
go.
Bengals actual
Nice.
site.
Kent, you're
great.
a thing, man. You're a thing, dude.
They took
Yeah,
your quote tweeted it and put that.
I was published on the
That's
Wall
cool.
Street Journal a couple of days ago.
Really?
And that was crazy to me because I've seen my name in print, several times since I started doing this, but like never in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, like how that's crazy.
I was in the New York Post. So this is all on the same day. I had the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post. I was on Giants Radio, and I think that was the day I had the Vikings site and the Patriots site.
We're very small in the chain here compared to where Kent's been.
It's surreal, man, because like when a team site picks up your stuff, that's wild. It's really cool to get that kind of stuff.
It's cool.
And it's so much fun to see the different reactions from the fan bases because the NFL community, there's shitheads for every fan base, and they're loud and obnoxious, but most fan bases are very accepting. And one of the things I always talk about is that we share this space in football. You share this space with everybody else. You can talk all the shit you want about, Browns fans and Steelers fans.
Fuck the Browns.
Talk all the shit you want. We share the same space. We read the same things. We look at the same articles. We all look at the same stuff. We get the same information. And it's wild to me to see that stuff get picked up and see the myriad of reactions from it in different ways. The people that are like, oh, that's really cool, or oh, that's stupid, or what the hell does this even mean?
Yeah.
And Raz was built to be a simplified metric that anybody can understand. The idea when I first started with this was, can I create something that a layman could pick up and at least know what's going on? And one of the greatest feelings of success that I've had is knowing that I rarely have to respond in more than one tweet to somebody who asks a question about like, what does this mean? And I can usually respond once and they'll just be like, oh, well, that makes sense. Or, oh, that I get that now. I see how that is. They may not agree with what they're looking at, but they get it. They understand it. And to me, that's been the biggest success of this whole thing. People have been trying to find, a athletic score in some way. We had Spark. The NFL has been trying to push this their own athletic metric for a couple of years. That they don't really do much time. They don't spend any time and effort on it. But like Raz is so easy to pick up. I mean, it's just easy to understand.
Dude, it's a phenomenal tool, and I love it.
That's awesome.
I enjoy it. Anyway,
doing guys, we have been on for over 2 hours on this one. Me and Dale have done this for 9 hours today.
Well,
Is that
earlier,
right?
earlier was over 7.
Yeah, so I think we're about to tap out. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys coming on. I really do. Kent, you are awesome. Again, I apologize that I would have loved to have you on during the draft. Next year, if we do
Well,
this
I'm sure
again,
he was plenty busy.
like I would love,
Anyways.
damn it, I wish I just gotta give you my phone number so you can call me and go, hey, dumbass, you didn't send me the link. So that was my fault. I apologize for that. So anyway, Kent, before I'll let you go, tell everybody where they can find you and what you got going on.
Yeah, so we've already talked about Twitter several times. You can find me on Twitter at MathBomb. I'm on an app called The Stunt, which is a newer app that's starting up that talks about football. You can do long form videos and post things kind of like Twitter on there. It's brand new, and I'm on there, of course, as MathBomb. You can check out all of this information on my website at ras.football. Hopefully that's easy enough to remember. Again, that's the whole goal. Everything should be easy.
Yep.
And if you're not into that and you just like running your own mock drafts, I run the mock draft simulator at profootballnetwork.com. So you can go to profootballnetwork.com/mock draft and check that out. And hopefully you guys can just enjoy all of the stuff that I'm putting out. I try to make things as fun and as engaging as possible. And hopefully it continues to be enjoyed for as long as I can do the stuff without getting bored.
Well, like I said, I know I appreciate you. You've been on for 2 hours. Well, I appreciate you. I know Dale does.
You're the man.
Yeah, everybody go follow him. NFL uses his shit. I know Dale uses his shit. I use his shit. So make sure you guys go check him out.
Go use my shit. That's what
use his shit. Use his shit.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
we
guys.
say hooday.
Hooday.
Hey.
We got a new subscriber. Appreciate that.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe go back and check out some of our shows or some of this. I do appreciate it, but man, we're
tired.
How many hours, man, do you think we've gone since Thursday?
I have no idea.
Guys,
Greg, plug your shit real quick. I'll get you out.
Greg, you're tired. You only been on today.
I know. No. I mean, I'm tired myself. I mean, I can't even imagine what you guys are.
What do you got in Raleigh here?
What I got in Raleigh on Monday, we're obviously we'll be talking draft and all that. Stay tuned for more hat giveaways, obviously, and all that. So see what happens. But yeah, from my understanding, Monday we'll be on at 7 talking draft.
Sounds good, brother. Hooday. Matt, you've been on like almost every day with us, on the chat. So I appreciate it. South Carolina, Bengals fan. Are you frozen?
Nope.
Okay, you're not frozen. You're just staring there. But I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate all your content that you provide for us. You've been awesome, dude. So I appreciate you.
Lawless1 on Twitter.
Yep, go follow him. Got it? All right, brother.
Have a good night.
Hooday, bro. Hooday. Holy shit, dude. How many hours?
I don't. Overall, today, we're got to be getting close to 10.
It was over 7 on our show. Now we're at 2. And I know I left
2.
for a while. I had to go do family stuff, which I still have to go do family stuff. So
I'm just like, man, I'm a little tired. It hit me like at once, too.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, I'm like, we're going to have to wrap this up, bro, because I'll be over here snoring, and that's embarrassing. So
either way, hey, I'm glad. I don't want to do this with anybody else but you. This has been awesome. Appreciate everybody watching on both channels.
I want to toss out so Monday we're hoping to have Jay Morrison on here at 3:30.
Yep.
And Tuesday we're hoping to have Dan Horde on at 3:30. So those will be 3:30 shows. And if you can't catch it live, that's what YouTube. That's why if you subscribe, you can always go back and watch them anytime you want. There's some old episodes. If you've not watched like our Clark Harris episode or a Gary Owen episode or Shane Graham episode, some of those episodes that are on there, man, they're still some of the funniest ones.
Some of the best shows they've done.
They're just funny. Awesome. Those guys are all really cool. We've been blessed to have some awesome people hop on with us. And like we always say, we're blessed to have everybody that supports us, everybody that comes chats, makes this fun. I mean, we sit here and get information from you guys as we're going with the undrafted stuff.
Right. Yeah, we're not breaking shit.
we're giving that to Kit, who's working on his RAS scores that go out to everybody. Like I said, the Bengals, quote tweeted him like earlier. So it's freaking cool. And we appreciate it a lot. So but damn, Your boy's probably gonna sleep all day tomorrow.
Exactly.
I'll go to
All
work
right,
Monday,
everybody.
and then I'll be back at it at 3:30 Monday.
We'll be back at 3:30 on Monday at Bengals and Brews. This has been a great show. Appreciate everybody. Hoo day.
Who day? I'm just